I want to talk about why I'm qualified to be a U.S. Congressperson. One of the things I talk about is my time with EEOC. As Outreach and Education Coordinator, I was the Congressional Liaison. A Congressional Liaison is the person that the agency has designated to be the contact for Congress and the Senate and the elected representatives in their area. What a lot of people don't know is that your congressional office has what's called constituent representatives. And those constituent representatives are not political. In fact, those constituent representatives have a strong firewall and they do not get involved in any type of politics, which is a good thing. My job as congressional liaison was to work with the constituent representatives to help them meet the needs of the people in their district. I developed a reputation for being the end of the black hole of government because sometimes it became difficult for the constituent representatives to find the correct congressional liaison for the different federal offices. And because I had developed so many relationships during my time with the EEOC, I was able to find the people that the constituent representatives needed to locate to meet the needs of the people in their district. I'm very proud of that. But my base of knowledge wasn't just with EEOC, it was with all the agencies, USDA, HHS, FEMA, SAMHSA, you name it. I probably knew the congressional liaison for that office, and I was able to help the constituent representatives locate them. And again, I'm really proud of that. Those relationships didn't end when I left EEOC. They remain strong today. But I did more than build relationships. I learned how congressional offices were set up. I learned that the duties of being a congressperson is not just going to Washington, D.C., but it's also meeting the needs of your constituents at home. And I think that that gets lost in the conversation a lot of times when people talk about being a congressional representative. I know what my responsibilities are. It's not just in DC, it's also at home. And that's why I spend so much time on this campaign with the people in my district. And when I say with the people in my district, I mean with the people in my district one-on-one, talking to them, being with them. Because if your focus is only Washington, D.C., you cannot be an effective congressperson. The next thing that makes me extremely qualified to be a congressional representative is my federal government experience. I spent 35 years in the federal government. I know what works and what doesn't work. One of the things that I did while a federal employee is I literally reorganized a federal agency. In 2004, I was part of an elite group of people who reorganized the EEOC. Our mission in 2004 was to make the EEOC more efficient and more cost-effective, and we succeeded on both counts. The changes that we made still survive today. I'm one of the few people that is running for Congress that has ever literally reorganized a federal agency. I can tell you every mistake that DOJ made, and DOJ made a lot of mistakes. I had to learn the federal personnel system. I had to learn the internal workings of EEOC. I had to literally interview all agency heads. It's an arduous task. It's not something that you just slap together. You can be successful in reorganizing a federal agency, but you cannot be successful if your goal is to put forth a political agenda. That will never successfully reorganize any federal agency. If you want to reorganize federal agencies, fine, but don't do it to satisfy some political objective. That's not why federal agencies exist. Federal agencies exist to serve the constituents. And if you're going in to destroy them to satisfy some political objective, that is a disservice to all Americans. As your congressperson, I want to audit federal agencies and learn what are the deficiencies in there and how we can make them more effective. But what I do not want to do is go in there with a political agenda that actively destroys the services that so many Americans need and trust. And by the way, have paid for with their tax dollars. That's not fair, and I'm not going to do that. And speaking of your tax dollars, the next reason why I believe I am so qualified to be your congressperson is that I'm fiscally responsible. As a libertarian, I do not believe in increasing debt. In fact, as a libertarian, I believe in decreasing debt. The problem that we have right now in America is our spending is out of control. I want to say when I get to Congress, I will end taxation, but that's going to be impossible because the debt we have accumulated in this country is out of control. And we have to figure out a way to decrease our spending before we can decrease taxes, because I don't see taxes going down anytime soon because the debt is so astronomical that if we decrease taxes, we will probably wipe this country out financially. So what we first have to do is get in there and find out where the debt is and how we can decrease our debt. I have no horses in any races. So I will happily slash and burn anything that makes no sense at all to the American people. And when I say slash and burn programs that make no sense to any people, I mean these programs out there that literally make no sense to any people. And when someone says, well, what are those programs? It's like, how would I know? They bury these things so deep. And this is why you want a libertarian in there, because I plan to bring people in who are experts in this to look over some of those books. That's the advantage of bringing in a libertarian. We literally live for this stuff. We don't like to spend our money on useless projects because it's our money and it's your money. When we talk about ending endless debt, this is what we mean. I don't want the children that are being born in my family right now to be saddled with debt from my generation. That's obnoxious. And I'm not going to do it to them. And by the way, none of you should want to do that to them. It's not right. It's not right. And speaking about what's not right, let's start talking about the wars, which is contributing to this massive debt of ours. I'm all for self-defense, but what we have been doing has not been self-defense. It has been wars of aggression. That's not self-defense. So now it's time to get a libertarian in Congress who will actively start voting against this. And I will actively vote against this. Any bill that has any funding for any war of choice, I vote against, period. That's a hard stop. I don't even discuss it. And if you say, well, what about stop? Just stop. No, no. Libertarians do not finance wars of choice. We just don't. And you can give me all the reasons why we should be funding wars of choice, and I'll give you all the reasons why we shouldn't. But it boils down to this. There are a lot of ways we can stop aggression, and war is not the way to stop aggression. War is aggression, and aggression breeds aggression. If you're having problems with your neighbors, being aggressive is only going to make them more aggressive. There are other ways to handle conflicts. And history has shown us that when we utilize wars of aggression, the result is a generation that gets raised hating Americans, and then we have to deal with that. Let's not do that anymore. Let's change our strategy because we are in a global market, and we have to start changing how we handle things in a global market. I don't believe that war is going to be the most efficient way to handle our disagreements in a global market. As a matter of fact, I think war is outdated. It's useless to us. We need to modernize the way we deal with countries. We need to modernize the way we deal with conflict. We need to get smarter at it. There are better ways to handle conflicts. And if America isn't smart at how we manage conflicts, we're going to get left behind. And this is how countries fall. I don't want this country to fall. I want us to be strong. And the way we are strong is that we look ahead to the future about what's going to make us weak and what's going to make us strong. And I don't think war is going to make us strong. That's a very outdated idea. The next reason why I should be your congressperson is I have ideas. I have ideas that Republicans and Democrats don't have. And the reason they don't have it is because they are trapped in these echo chambers. All they do is they talk to each other and they try to figure out how they can accumulate more power. I don't want power. My party doesn't want power. We just want to live in America and be left alone. That's it. That's the whole libertarian strategy. Leave us alone. That's it. That's a pretty good strategy too. But when we get to talking, we start talking about if we could just live in peace, how would we want to live? And that's when we come up with these great ideas, because we don't discuss how we can control the world, what the world would look like without them or without them. We discuss how the world would look like if we could all just live in harmony with each other. But you won't hear those ideas in an echo chamber. That's why I keep telling you, stay tuned. I have a lot of ideas, and they're great ideas. They're revolutionary. They'll change this country, and they'll make it better. And by the way, as a libertarian, they never cost that much. And they actually have a return on investment, which is something the Democrats and Republicans never talk about, is the return on investment on their ideas. Another reason I'm qualified to be your congressperson is because I understand what a representative is. It's not a leader, it's a representative. One of the things that makes me uncomfortable is how much we have gone from representative to leader when we talk about our congressional representatives. They even identify themselves as leaders, and the people identify them as leaders. They're not leaders, they're representatives. And I plan to be your representative, not your leader. You will tell me what you want, and I will present it to Congress. I'm not here to lead you down any path. I'm here to represent my community. When you let your elected representatives become your leaders, you let them direct the conversation. I don't want to direct the conversation. I want to be your voice. I should be your voice. That's literally what a constitutional republic is. It's your voice, and we need to get people back to that. Elected officials do what the people say, and that means that your congressional representative, which would be me, does not go to Congress with the mandate to make one political party or the other suffer and pay for the sins of what they did to the other political party. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to make life better for Colorado Congressional District 6. I'm not here to make life better for the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, and I'm certainly not here to make life worse for either the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. I'll let them do that to themselves. I want to concentrate on my district. And I think, like a lot of people, I'm tired of being used as this political pawn between the Democrats and the Republicans. They're in a war. I'm not in any war. I just want to live in peace in my neighborhood. And if you want to live in peace in your neighborhood, elect me to Congress, because I'm not in their war. I'm never going to be in their war. Which brings me down to the final point of what makes me qualified to be your congressional representative. Well, because I'm not a Republican and because I'm not a Democrat, I can caucus with whoever I want when I'm in Congress. Now, I plan to caucus with whoever wins the majority in Congress because that's just politically smart. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go along with everything they say or do, because that's not always going to be in the best interest of my district. Besides, you don't give a blank check to anyone, not ever. Ever. So if the political party that's in power puts forth something that is not in the best interest of my district, I'll vote for the other side. See, that's the advantage to having a libertarian. I don't owe allegiance to either side. If you want my vote for something, then you make it worthwhile to my district. I represent Colorado Congressional District 6. I don't represent the Republicans and I don't represent the Democrats. And there is nothing you can do to bully me into representing either one. Sorry. See, this is a huge advantage to my district because I will always vote in your best interest. Colorado Congressional 6 is my home. It's been my home. I have lived here for 26 years. And I cannot tell you how many times this has been redistricted. And that's actually not a joke. That's really the truth. I don't know how many times it's been redistricted. But I've never moved. And I'm not planning to move anytime soon. So it is important to me that I get the right representation. And I have to admit, I'm really scared about what's happening in Washington, D.C. because I think we're going down these really dark holes. And I want us to get out of them. And it seems that the only way we can get out of them is if we dig our own selves out. That's why I want you to vote for me. Because I think together we can dig ourselves out of this hole. I believe in community. I love this community, and I know you love this community too, which is why I know I'm the best congressperson for this community at this time. So let's go to Washington and let's see what this community can do to fix it. Okay? Okay.